Alright guys, welcome back to Built, and hope you are ready for our next Turbo Dodge build. So, we already have the Dodge Spirit record at 1134 at 125 miles an hour, and we did that pretty easily with a factory PTGT 2.4 liter with a 5.68 from the Dodge Spirit that it's actually in. That car is now gone. We have transferred everything over into our white car. Made a few videos on the white car. You can go back in the library and you can see the car made 530 wheel. Then I broke it. Now it has a stock motor back in it with the old turbo kit. I haven't even tuned it or anything. It's just been on the side because it runs and it's fine. And we have a lot of other projects to get to. So if this is your first time watching Built video, I am Mike. My brother is Kevin. He's around in the video sometimes. I mostly do all the talking and the videoing and editing. And we build unique cars, to say the least. We have some Hondas. We have some Turbo Dodges. We have a GTO, a Viper, a Juke. We have a bunch of cars. So, in this video, we are going to get to showing you the start of basically our dream caravan. And our plan is to go after the front-wheel drive turbo caravan record. So as of now, the front wheel drive record with a manual transmission is like 1220 at 110 for a turbo caravan. And I believe for an auto, it's like 1175 or 1176 at 115. I know you guys are going to bring up the boosted boys. Kyle's van, I think, has went 1150 or 1140 at 120 something miles an hour. I'll have to ask him personally to see what his van actually ran before he went all-wheel drive. But we plan on going and making our 86 Caravan here the fastest front-wheel drive turbo caravan minivan in the world. That's our goal. So I'm going to show you the van now, and some of you are going to be upset because we are tearing apart a really nice caravan. And then some of you are going to enjoy it because this is going to be an awesome build. And hopefully we can put a caravan in the deep 11s, maybe the 10s, when we're all said and done. So let me get to flipping the camera around and let's discuss what we are working on here. All right, guys, this is the new project. This is a 1986 Plymouth Voyager. If you go back in an old video, you've seen I put this thing on the dyno. It made 80 horsepower and 100 foot-pounds of torque with its original 32,000 mile drivetrain. This van is a 5-speed caravan, which I know a lot of people are going to be like, what, a 5-speed caravan? Yes, Chrysler made 5-speed caravans before they made turbo caravans back in the early 80s. So this is a Gen 1 caravan. These things weigh somewhere in the 2,800 pound range, and they are extremely slept on project cars, but they are based off the same K-car chassis as many of the other projects. Like our CSX is kind of based on the same chassis. So the front suspension and stuff is very similar. It's not exactly the same, but it's very similar. And the motor, the 2.2 liter, which is right there, can be swapped for the turbo motor. You will see a lot of turbo caravans on YouTube because they are fun. Nobody expects it to be fast, and it's just a cool project to build. So when we approached building a turbo caravan, we found the cleanest caravan we could find. This thing had 32,000 miles on it. We drove it around and maybe put 800 miles on it during last summer just to make sure everything was good. And as you can see now, it is completely ripped apart. It doesn't have an interior in it. It doesn't have a motor and transmission in it. And yeah, it is completely all torn apart. So the motor is right here. This is a throttle body injected 2.2 liter from the factory. Like I said, we dynoed it. It made 80 horsepower, 100 foot-pounds of torque. Here is its 5-speed transmission. This transmission code for this thing is a 525. These transmissions are great for the stock motor, but if you apply more than 200 horsepower to one of these, it will crumble and die very quickly. And last thing we want to do is go to the track and break the transmission instantly. So that's where the second caravan comes into play. So in 1990, you can get this Dodge Caravan in 5-speed with a much stronger transmission because this is a factory turbo model. So these vans came with a 2.5 turbo and a A568 transmission. If you don't know where the A568 comes from, besides the Caravan, it comes in a 90s Spirit RT, which is the dual cam turbo 200 plus horsepower model, and a IROC Daytona, which is a dual cam turbo 200 plus horsepower model. So the transmission they put in these vans is probably, without a doubt, the strongest turbo Dodge transmission up until an SRT4. So we had to purchase this van for some parts to complete the swap, because the shifter for this style van and the shifter for this style van is much different. The 568 uses a different style shifter, uses a different style transmission mount, and a few little odds and ends. So we're using this as basically a donor. We might make it into a project later, but as for now, it's our donor van and storage for the parts that we're pulling out of this until we get this thing done. So now that you know about this van and this van, let's talk about the actual build. We are going to keep this thing as original looking as possible. We did purchase a set of BC coilovers, which are sitting right here. BC coilovers for the front. But these old style vans have a leaf spring rear suspension. So you have a solid axle and a leaf spring suspension, kind of like an old school V8 car. So the only way to really lower the back is to get shorter shocks and de-arch the leaf springs or take leafs out. The van itself, like I said earlier, only has 32,000 original miles on it. This thing is extremely nice. Like another level of nice for a 1986 Caravan, or should I say Plymouth Voyager. Another thing is this Caravan did not come with AC. The Caravan only came with heat, and you don't even get a tack. You just get a clutch pedal, a brake pedal, a gas pedal, and basically a fan motor for you and your occupants. You only get one back seat, and you get your two front seats. Not like the newer Caravans where you have 3 row seating, all of that. You don't get none of those options in this van. The newer vans are a little bit longer, a little bit heavier, and as you can see, you can get a turbo model. The weight on this Caravan is around 2,800 pounds. I think I already said that in this video. And the weight on that Caravan is around 3,100 pounds. So with keeping the 568 transmission, we decided to keep everything old school and go with a Lotus dual overhead cam turbo 3 motor. So for you that have never seen one of these, this is the end all be all for the early model turbo Dodges. This is basically the grandpa of the SRT4 motor. Dodge approached Lotus and Maserati. They both designed them cylinder heads. You can get a dual cam cylinder head in a TC, which is a like fancy high-end car that has a Maserati cylinder head on it. Those things are very rare. These are pretty rare too. So these are only produced for the Spirit RT, the Dodge Daytona IROC RT, and they think they made 1,200 or 1,300 of them ever. Well, we got this from, of course, our Spirit that we SRT4 swapped. So we have an extra motor laying around, and we wanted to keep this thing old school. So this particular build isn't any of the stock parts anymore. This was another block we got. It has a 2.5 crank out of a newer Caravan. It has a set of forged SRT4 rods and a custom set of pistons. So this is a completely forged bottom end. It has a cylinder head that is completely rebuilt. It was gone through. It is ported. It was done by Cindy. If you guys are in the Turbo Dodge community, you know who Cindy is. The intake manifold, you guys might be asking about, looks crazy. This is another custom piece. This was bought from Cindy, and I believe was made somewhere in Mexico. I'm pretty sure is what I was told. And then the turbocharger we went with is a GT3584 with an 89 rear housing, and then we have a tile 38 millimeter gate on it. The transmission itself that we were putting in this Caravan is a 568 using a 523 final drive, which changes the final drive to 3.77. It has a OBX LSD in it that was redone by PAP, and PAP is the one that actually built this transmission for us. So this whole unit right here is what we would consider the best of the best from the 1990s technology of Mopar. Pretty much the best way to put it. So this motor, when we had it in our Spirit, and it was a 2.2 liter, and it was not completely forged and not ported, and had a stock intake manifold, and only had a GT 3076, made 400 horsepower at like 24 pounds of boost. Our goal is for this thing to make somewhere in the 600 horsepower range, turned up a little bit. Driving around, we'll probably aim for somewhere in the 400 to 500 horsepower range. It really depends on how it responds and kind of how everything works out in the end. So now that we've talked way too long, I want you guys to leave a comment down below. What do you think about our 86 Plymouth Voyager 4-headlight minivan? 32,000 miles, super clean. The interior's clean. Everything's clean about the van. 2.5 liter stroker turbo 3 motor, Garrett GT 3584. It's the knockoff ball bearing billet boat wheel one. It's like a Gen 1. Custom intake manifold, all custom built transmission from PAP with a bunch of different hybrid gears, forged bottom end, and we are going to be running this thing on a Mega Squirt Gold Box, so we should be able to do like traction control, boost by gear, and all the shenanigans. What do you think we would get this thing to make for power? What do you think we would get this thing to make for an ET at the track? And do you think it is possible for us to get this Caravan to make a deep 11-second pass and hold the record? Or maybe even a 10-second pass and abolish the record that was before in the high 11s? We will have at least a Hellcat pump, AN 6 and 8 feed, or AN 8 feed, 6 return, a set of 1650cc injectors. We do have a set of, I believe, 2200 IDs or FICs if we run out of fuel. And we do have only stock axles. But like I said earlier, this van is one of the lightest, if not the lightest model Caravan you can buy. So we have a hefty goal. Now you guys know the plan. I'm going to get to work. I got a bunch of stuff to do that I'm going to do off camera because it is boring and you guys won't enjoy that. But hopefully you enjoyed the video. As always, like, comment, subscribe. And if you enjoy this content, follow along on the build for the fastest minivan Plymouth Voyager in the world, hopefully.